Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and welcome back to another week of Berserk, the 2016 anime. Now, I do have a bunch of mixed feelings with this episode. I do have to say, with this overview, I will try to avoid turning this into a rant, but due to the amount of content that had to be covered for this episode, which I'm guessing is the last episode of this season, a lot of things felt way too rushed. This entire season felt overall just way too rushed. It could have been handled a lot better. I will give my overall opinion in a separate video, what I thought about this entire season and in its own. However, if we're talking about this episode 12 on its own, then the animation, again, 12 episodes later, still not my favorite part of the anime. The pacing, still not my favorite part of the anime. And the way certain elements were handled from the original story, of course, was not something that I enjoyed. Now, it's worth also noting that I am talking from the point of view of someone who read the manga and who wanted a more faithful adaptation of the original story. And I'm not speaking as someone who hasn't read the manga and who has no idea of the original content. And I bring this up because I've seen all kinds of fans of all kinds of viewers when it comes to this 2016 anime. One type of fan, for example, is the type that hasn't read the manga, who is barely up to date with the series, and who maybe even saw just the original animated series or just the movies, and therefore is only aware of the Golden Age arc. So that type of fan will either enjoy this series for its animation, for its story, and it's not bothered by the animation, or will absolutely hate it due to the animation and will not even give the story a try, therefore not even look back at the original content. The other type of fan is the ones who want something different, who like the original Berserk story, but at the same time wants to have a different version of it, like an alternate universe, for example. I myself am one of those people who enjoy reading multiple versions of a certain stories and see what kind of changes the people add to it to see how different situations ran. However, for this 2016 anime, I'm sorry, I'm not too crazy about it. Enough talking about all that stuff. Let me get into the overview because there is a lot of stuff that we need to cover. First of all, the episode starts off with the Guts' party currently trying to avoid the demons that are basically just trying to devour everyone. Nina, the blonde bitch, is about to get trampled, but is saved by Luca. She puts Nina in a sort of like um, barrel and protect and just I don't know how this is something also that bothered me a little bit in the original story, but somehow that manages to protect her from the devouring demon that seemed to destroy anything that they normally put in them aside from a wooden barrel, I guess. Luca is then nowhere to be seen, and Nina starts worrying like what is going to happen. And she comes to this epiphany that even though she's going to die, she has the epiphany that she wants to continue living, and she finds value to her life somehow. Regardless, Gus is the plays the central part in within the group, the party that he's with, which is the Farnese, Jerome, Isidro, Serpico, and Puck, and he plays a central role in giving them hope that despite them being overwhelmed with the amount of demons, that there is still hope to make it out of this situation alive. And Farnese comes to this conclusion that yeah, like this guy, he's the I don't know, there's something about him that brings up hope, that creates hope for people, and it's that very beautiful element of the Berserk story in general of Guts looking like this demon, like this vulgar, this aggressive guy, but at the same time him having pure intentions. and they try to hold the demons off until daylight, because obviously when daylight comes, that's when the demons kind of have to disappear. And this is something that I personally found it interesting, that all of these things, they felt like an eclipse event. However, they weren't really, because when the eclipse occurred, they were transported into like this hell, so to say, this other dimension. While in this situation, we have a clear understanding that it is occurring during the same world, and that all they have to do is just wait for daylight to happen. So that's a little bit of an interesting aspect, because the Baelith hasn't been properly explained. We know certain things about it, and later in the story, we do get a better explanation as to what it is. But the fact that this, if you only watched the original movies or the original anime and went to this, you could have thought to yourself that this is the eclipse being um, reapplied, brought back again. But no, it's not. It's something a little bit different. Now, that egg apostle that we saw these past couple of episodes talking about this new world that he wanted to bring, he started talking about like him seeing the light, and from whatever was in him, I think it was like the demon apostle, the fetus apostle, the fetus demon, or the fetus creature, whatever you want to call it. Griffith is born, and you have the situation where daylight comes up. They're looking for Luca, because Nina gets out of her barrel and she's like, "Where's Luca? We need to find her." Jerome obviously wants to find her as well, and they see that the Kushan army. The Kushan, by the way, are these, I guess best comparable with Middle Eastern type of warriors. They are surrounding them, and they're looking for a certain person apparently, but they're not going to leave the group that is there. They're not going to let them go alive. So you have the situation where all of a sudden Saad comes in, and Saad's design I'm not too crazy about, for the simple thing is that I feel that he looks too much like a plushy beast, I would say. Like, he doesn't look menacing at all, and maybe it's the 3D, maybe it's the coloring, because he also had like a rather dark bluish tint, which I'm not too crazy about. I kind of like the original brown monster, bear-like monster, but he didn't look too menacing at all for me in this episode. I liked his human form that we got to see the past couple of episodes for a bit when he's confronting Skull Knight, but this apostle form of his is not one that I'm too crazy about. Saad is running through the army, breaking shit down, and Guts starts finding the Kushan. Guts, Serpico, and Asan, who made it out alive somehow. They they put up a fight against this group. Nina decides to fuck off again. Um, Wait, let me see, because I got this all typed down. Guts versus Kushan, yes. And then we have also the fact that they see Griffith, and the leader of it, and I keep forgetting his name, so I apologize for that. But the leader of the Kushan army, he tells them like was a prophecy of this guy. We kind of have to kill this guy to restore our clan's honor, and they're talking about Griffith, the White Hawk, and Griffith is back. He's looking a little bit more feminine. Well, yeah, now that he's practically naked, Saad runs up to him. He clearly has befriended Griffith, and there's this whole thing about Saad being aware that Griffith was the chosen one, that he was going to be part of the God Hand, and him being really obedient towards him. And therefore, when the Kushan army goes to attack him, like, Saad straight up just demolishes them. Now, there is this one of those complaints that I do have, and that is with the scene that was handled where Gus gets freaking angry, upset, like that he saw Griffith again. Not my complaint. My complaint was when Casca saw Griffith, and that is, in the manga at least, it was portrayed as if she saw him and she wanted to go towards him, but she wasn't. It wasn't something of like, I need to go to him because of light or because memories. No, it was more of something like that she had this expression in her face, at least in the panels, in the drawn out panels by Kentaro Miura, where she was crying at the very sight of him, and I feel that we didn't get that kind of feeling in this anime. Like we just saw Casca wanted to go for him and Guts stopping her. Regardless, Saad uses his wins. She fucks off with Griffith, and the Guts' party kind of has to figure a way how to get out of there alive. Guts tells them to just leave, that he'll handle it. He The group doesn't want to do it, but it's kind of like the only thing that they have to do. They have to sneak out away from that army because they're just being too overwhelmed. To which, of course, Isidro wonders like, "Yo, we can't leave them alone. Um, there's just too many of them." And eventually, they do come to the conclusion that yeah, Guts must be alive. Guts obviously defeats them because he's the protagonist of this story. And Isidro leaves their group, leaves the group of Jerome and Luca and Nina because he wants to pursue Guts, of course. Farnese, she says that she just resigns from being a knight, a holy knight. Holy knight, am I watching too many Seven Deadly Sins? She resigns from her position and wants to follow the Black Swordsman. Nina decides to leave for a second and then finds that guy that somehow manages to like this bitch, and she says like, oh, I'm fucking off as well. So it's Luca, Jerome, and Luca's friends, the girls who prostitutes, so to say. And the final shot that we get of this season, so to say, is Guts and Casca walking away with Puck, and this has got to be one of those parts in the story that I personally enjoy a lot. And this is and I'm talking about the story. I'm not talking about the anime. I'm talking about the fact that Guts is with Casca. He's not gonna let her go, and he's going to see what it's like to have to fight for someone who can't really think for themselves that all too well. And Puck is there, but Puck is not a fighting type, so I mean, at the end of the episode, we do get a teaser for spring 2017, the Berserk 2017 anime, I guess, season 2. And they kind of got me with that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm going to hype myself up too much, but if they do decide to learn from their mistakes and drop the 3D, or at least drop it mostly and focus more on the animation, then maybe we will have a better adaptation. If the pacing also works a little bit better, I don't want them to rush things down, but just seeing that Berserk armor just brings up a little bit of a fanboy feeling out of me. Excuse me. So now, the three things that I talk about in every anime episode, excuse me, the animation, the pacing, and value to the overall plot. Animation, again, not my favorite thing. I'll go into that maybe more in my separate video where I talk about the season in its whole. The pacing, really fast paced, a lot of things happened, and I mean, we jumped from one point to the other, which leads me to my next point: the value to the overall plot. The value to the overall plot. Well, Griffith is fucking alive. The Kushan army, they're looking for Griffith. That's something that we find out as well. Guts is now reunited with Casca and is going to be protecting her. We find out that Farnese's resolve is now to follow the Black Swordsman. Isidro, we kind of knew that he was going to follow him. Jerome and Luca will most likely not play a role anymore because they kind of like their story kind of ended here. They're safe and sound. Nina also fucks off, but on her own with her lover. And I mean, a lot of things happen. Oh yeah, and Saad will protect and stand by Griffith's side. So a lot of things did happen. A lot of character development, in a way you could say. That doesn't mean particularly that it was well handled, in my opinion. It just means that a lot just happened. Overall, I wasn't too satisfied with this episode. I'll be honest with you. I tried giving this season a try, and I'll call out shit when I see it. Like if I don't agree with something, I will have to say it. Regardless, my name is POV. If you like this overview, tell me, then hit the like button down below. If you disliked it, then feel free to hit that dislike button down below. I mean, it's there for a reason. Tell me what you thought about this episode. This episode on its own, I will make a separate video for the overall season. Um, yeah, what did you think of this episode? Griffith's return, the Kushan army searching for Griffith, and are you excited for the next season in spring 2017? And what would you like to see? What would you like to see being changed for the next season? At least, what would you like to stay? What would you like different? Regardless, my name is DLPOV. Have a good week and goodbye. Thank you for watching.